Moving to a new state, there's the right way to do it and there's the wrong way to do it. So today we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes people make when moving to Idaho, so hopefully you don't have to make these mistakes yourself. Hey everyone, my name is Trent and I'm a realtor here in Idaho. If you are interested in learning what it's like living, playing, working, and buying real estate here in Idaho, then this is the right channel for you. Make sure you tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you get notified. And guys, every single day I'm getting calls, texts, emails from people just like you. They've been watching the channel, they need a little bit more information about what it's like living in Idaho, or they're very, very serious about moving to Idaho and they need someone to help them get set up here. That's why I'm here. So if this is you, I can't reach out to you, you have to reach out to me. So give me a call or shoot me an email or a text, day, nights, weekends, it does not matter. So guys, today we're talking about the biggest mistakes people make when moving to Idaho, and hopefully when you hear these, you can avoid some of these mistakes. Now, some of this information you might have heard from my other videos, but I guarantee there's information that I have not covered yet, so make sure you watch the whole thing and let me know in the comments after if there was new information and if it was helpful to you or not. I always look at the comments and I really appreciate the feedback. So the first one, guys, is people going to third-party websites to get information about Idaho. That's never a great idea. Yes, some of the information is accurate, but a lot of it is inaccurate. So when you go to Zillow, when you go to Realtor, when you go to Trulia, that information is not up to date. A lot of times I've had people show up, get off the plane and call me, say, Trent, I'm in Idaho. I've got a list of houses I want to go see. Can you go show them to me? And when I look them up on our website, the MLS, it shows that a lot of them are either pending or they sold a while ago. That website is not meant to provide you accurate information. It's meant to get your eyeballs and for you to pick up the phone so they can connect you to one of their realtors. So it's not going to be accurate. If you give us a call, you can even go to the website that I have, livinglifenorthidaho.com, gives you access to the MLS, and you can see almost up to the minute accurate information about what's going on with the MLS. I think there's like a 5-minute delay, but it's still it's going to be the most accurate, especially compared to these third-party websites. So don't just go to those websites and believe that you're seeing exactly what the market's doing and the pricing. It's not going to be accurate. You need to reach out and talk to a professional. The next big mistake that I see people make is they go on Facebook Marketplace to look at listings or see what's available for rentals. And honestly, guys, it's kind of scary on there. It's so easy to get scammed nowadays. It seriously blows my mind. Even I get worried, and I'm a young guy that's pretty savvy with technology, but they're getting so sharp with these scams that you really don't know if it's real or not. And unfortunately, a lot of it's such a good deal, and they're so good at communicating that you think, oh, my gut's telling me this is totally real, until they ask you to send a little bit of money to hold the place for it, like a deposit, and then they take your money. So definitely, if you, not saying don't go on there, but definitely make sure that if you are working with somebody over Facebook Marketplace, that you can at least verify their identity without a shadow of a doubt. And overall, it's always better to have an agent that's looking out for your best interest. That's what we do. That's why we're here, is to make sure that you don't get taken advantage of and you don't fall for a scam. The next really big mistake I see people making is deciding where they're going to live based on price. In fact, the last video that I posted, the reasons why people are leaving Idaho, a lot of the comments about people saying, yep, moved here 2 years later, I'm leaving, wasn't good. When I ask them, where'd you move to? I find out that they're in a very rural area in Idaho. Guys, Idaho is literally one of the last places where it's still sort of the wild, wild west. And the smaller the town you go to, yes, you can get a killer deal on a big house on acreage, but you have to understand that there are generational families living in these small towns, and they're not going to be very friendly to newcomers. It's going to take a long time to earn your place in that community and earn their trust. And some people just don't even know what that looks like or how that can feel. And so it's really important. Don't base your decision on where to live just on price. If you don't think you can afford to live in a place like Coeur d'Alene or Boise, reach out to us. There are so many different options that we can look at, especially when it comes to loans. A lot of people are basing it off of calling a major corporation and getting a pre-approval, and they're being quoted a certain interest rate and different payment plans. But we have some lenders that are really, really good with some really great programs. So definitely give us a call and don't just decide, no, I'm gonna have to live way out in the middle of nowhere in Idaho in order to make it work. That might be a giant mistake. The next huge mistake, this is huge, that I see people making is they don't have up-to-date information. Guys, I have made 65 videos. In fact, I went back and watched some of my original videos just to see if I've been improving or not. I haven't. I'm getting worse. I'm just kidding. Hopefully these are getting better. But even watching those, even from 2 months ago, the markets have changed. Situations have changed. We are in what some people are calling a unicorn market. Nobody's seen housing prices go up like this. And I know a ton of people are like, it's a bubble, it's a bubble. But there's a lot of things pointing to the fact that it might not be in the Idaho area because of what's going on in our country. This might be just natural growth and consequences of what's been going on. So if you've been watching my videos, don't base your decision on something that I said 2 months ago. Watch the new videos, but more importantly, if you are serious about moving here, you have to talk to a professional real estate agent to know exactly what's going on here. Otherwise, any information you're reading online is probably going to be outdated. All the more reason you should hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. So when I do come out with a new video, I can update you with the new information. Things are changing rapidly. I said a couple of months ago, contingencies to selling your house and buying up here, impossible. Well, with the rising interest rates, there's less buyers. So you might be able to get a house and have a contingency of selling your house. That's how quickly things can change. So make sure you're getting up-to-date information. The next big mistake I see people making is knowing 100% that they're either buying or they're renting. Guys, sometimes it doesn't make sense to move to a new state and buy a house, especially if you're starting a new job and there's only one company that pays good enough to make it work here. If that job doesn't work out and you're locked into a mortgage, you're gonna have to figure out what to do with that house. You're either gonna have to rent it or you're gonna sell it, and any profit that you made is gonna have capital gains tax on it. So it doesn't always make sense to buy, and it also doesn't always make sense to rent. Just because people think that, oh, it's too expensive to buy, I'm just gonna rent. That's not always the case. There's good loan programs out there. You can build equity. It really just depends on the situation you're in. So don't be absolutely rigid and say, I'm buying or I'm renting. Give us a call or talk to a professional realtor in this area, and we can help you make a good decision on whether you should be looking at buying or looking at renting first. Another really big mistake I see people making is they sell the house that they owned in the state they lived. They move here without getting pre-qualified, assuming that they're gonna qualify to buy another house because, hey, they already had a mortgage and they've got a big down payment. Of course they're gonna qualify. But if you're changing industries or changing professions, or there's just different factors that if you don't talk to a lender first, you might not qualify for that next home and you're gonna be stuck renting. And I know for me, after owning a home, I don't ever wanna have to rent again. Renting is no good, you're just burning money. And when you own a house, when the markets go up, you're not sitting there in the water as the tides are rising going, you'll never be able to afford a house again. So again, make sure that you reach out and you talk to a lender, a qualified lender in this local market to be sure that you'll qualify for your next home. Now, this is something I have talked about in my previous videos, but a big mistake of moving here is moving here sight unseen. When people do research online and they're looking at Zillow and they're looking at pictures and they're reading and they're watching YouTube videos and assuming, oh no, I totally know what Idaho's like. I'm a perfect fit. I'm gonna move there. That's a terrible decision. Now, I'm not saying jump in a plane, spend a bunch of money to come visit here first, especially if you are needing to move this year. But what I am saying is reach out to a professional real estate agent, to people in this area that know the area, that can hear your wants, your needs, some of the things that would be a major turnoff, and help you decide if Idaho is going to be the right fit for you and where in Idaho is going to be the right fit. Because I'll tell you, southern Idaho compared to northern Idaho, totally different places, including the southern eastern part of Idaho. Very, very different. We have deserts in Idaho. We have places that look like Martian territory in Idaho. And then we have mountain high desert, and we have the forests and the lakes. So Idaho is vastly different depending on where you're at. So you definitely don't want to just move here assuming, yep, this is going to be the right place for me. You definitely want to be talking to somebody who can help you make that decision so that you don't end up making a big mistake. Okay, so another big mistake people make is not understanding how new construction works here in Idaho. This is not a normal market. In fact, I've talked about this before. There's a new construction company here that will take your deposit. You can design the house the way you want it, and then once it's done, they're gonna have you bid on it with other people. So it's not actually your house. You're the one putting the deposit down to get it going, but whatever the market value is of that house, you then have to pay. And I actually had a client that was almost stuck in this, and they were able to pull out and said, no, thank you. There's other companies that are booked out 2 years, but when you talk to them, they might tell you 9 months until you do everything. So you got to understand new construction, there is some risk there if you're trying to build your own home. Another reason it's important to not just go directly to the builder, but work with an agent that's representing you. You don't have to pay that agent. The construction company, the new home builder, is paying us. So we really are here to just take care of you. And this isn't just a promotion to work with me, but make sure you work with an agent when doing new construction so that you understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. Okay, so this is some new information that I've not shared yet. Not understanding the environmental factors of where you're moving to. I have mentioned before that there was some mining done in North Idaho in the Silver Valley, and some of the tailings and some of the heavy metals got flushed down the river, so it does affect the Silver Valley. So if you have young children, you might not want to live there because it affects young children way more than it affects adults. But another factor that I haven't talked about is that we have radon here in North Idaho, as well as some spots in southern Idaho. It really just depends. Now, radon is a poisonous gas that is within the soil. So when you dig down, you're releasing some of that radon gas, and not every house has a radon mitigation system. My last house did not have one, and when I did the test, it was actually quite a bit above EPA levels, and that can eventually turn to lung cancer. So it is a serious problem. Now, it was simple to fix, but if you're not working with the right person and you don't know what to expect, you might end up buying a house that needs a radon mitigation system and you didn't know that you need to put one in. So you got to make sure that you're working with the right people, you're doing the right research to know what are the environmental factors. Another factor is we do have pollen up here in North Idaho. I've mentioned that before. That can seriously affect people who have allergies. There are things that you can do to offset it, but it can be an issue if you're super sensitive. Another big mistake that people make is assuming that if they have cash, they're going to win the bid on the house. That is absolutely not true. Essentially, if you're going in and that's your only card to play because you have a weak agent that doesn't know how to negotiate or do research, you're going to end up spending a lot more for that house than you probably need to. We have quite a few examples of where somebody who was getting a loan actually beat out somebody that had a cash offer, and it really comes down to the tricks and tools that the agents have to getting the offer accepted. It is not just a, here's our number, call the listing agent, hey, we're sending over an offer, let us know what you think. There are things that we can do to find out what are the pain points for that seller. How can we make our offer more attractive without going way above over asking? So you got to make sure that you're working with the right agent and not assuming I have cash, this is going to be easy. You got to have somebody with a little bit of negotiation skills. Otherwise, you could be making a huge mistake. One more huge mistake I see people making is not knowing what house will qualify for their particular loan. Guys, VA, I am myself a veteran and I've used my VA loan, but I'll tell you, it's tough in this market because sellers, they don't want to really have to put anything into their home. And if it's a fixer-upper, if there's certain things that aren't done on that house, the VA will not approve it for their loan program. Because the government is guaranteeing that loan and you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance, they're going to want to make sure that that house is good to go. So if you default, they're able to sell it quickly without taking a huge hit. So you have to know that. Same with FHA and USDA. They have regulations on where you can buy and what type of house you can buy. So You really have to work with somebody who's knowledgeable, that knows that stuff. Otherwise, you could be wasting your time falling in love with a home that you're never going to get approved for. So make sure that you don't assume that your loan is going to be good for everything. Know what it will be good for. So a couple more big mistakes is assuming that an older home is going to be cheaper than new construction. Now, I like to compare this to buying a vehicle. It's really easy to look at a used vehicle and go, well, obviously that's going to be cheaper because the new car is new and it's going to be way more expensive. But what people don't understand, when you're buying a used house, a lot of people don't think about this, but roofs can cost around $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Redoing the carpet in a home right now can cost $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Doing countertops and replacing appliances, HVAC systems, all this stuff can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So I should say this, I highly recommend buying a home warranty when you do buy a used house because that can really help offset that cost. But when you look at a new construction home or you look at something that's already been lived in, you have to look at those considerations to decide what's going to be more expensive, because you can buy a new construction home and finance most of it, where once you own a home, you're going to have to put stuff on credit cards if you don't have the money to pay for some of those repairs. So definitely something that you want to consider so that you don't make that big mistake. Now, a huge misconception that people have when moving to Idaho is assuming because we are in the inland Northwest and that we have all 4 seasons, they're not going to need air conditioning. I tell you, I made that mistake in my first house and it was awful. It didn't have air conditioning. I didn't think I needed it. In the middle of summer, it was so hot. I had to just go and shell out like $400 for a floor window unit, which not only was loud, but it didn't really cool the entire house. So don't assume because Idaho is up north and we don't have very long summers that you're not going to need AC. I highly recommend you have it. Another huge mistake, which I did do an entire video on, is assuming building your house is going to be cheaper than just buying a new construction or a pre-owned home. It is not the case right now. It can be so expensive trying to build your own house because everybody is booked out. They're charging premiums because of the way the housing market is right now. So I know that's some people's dream to build their own house themselves, but please consider what the costs and time are to go into that. And definitely check out the video above so that you know what it really looks like going in and trying to build your own home and you avoid making a huge mistake. Last one, guys, you made it. Thank you so much. Do not base your decision on where to buy on the neighbors. You don't know what's going to be happening with that neighbor. Typically, when you drive by a house and they're not taking care of the yard and it's not very nice, they're usually not planning on staying. That's why they're not investing into fixing the place up. So they might sell it, and those people, the next people, could make that house look really, really nice. Same thing goes with a really, really nice house that then ends up getting sold and the new neighbors don't want to take care of it. Don't decide where you're going to live based on the neighbors that are there right now. If you do want that security to know that that house next door is not going to be run down in the next year, move into an HOA, which I know is kind of a 4-letter word. It's 3, but it's kind of a 4-letter word for some people because they've heard horror stories or they've had bad experiences. The HOAs up here are a lot more tame and mild than they are in places like California and Washington and Portland, Oregon, areas like that. But HOAs are a great way to make sure that your neighbor is taking care of the house and that your property value isn't going to drop in the coming years. So that's it. The biggest mistakes people make when moving to Idaho. I hope this information was helpful for you. If it was, give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell. And again, if you are serious about moving to Idaho, do not be shy. Feel free to reach out with a text, call, or email, day, nights, weekends, and I will see you guys on the next video.